an attorney or a lawyer, and just put a 1 on top of every the on the paper, and the letter A and the letter and. Now, if there's only one word that follows that word the, and there's a comma, that word is going to be a verb, 2. If there are 2 words that follow that word, it's going to be a 3 and a 4. Like here. 1, 3, 4, and there'll probably be a 4th word, which would then become a pronoun. If there's only 2 words, it'll be a 4, 1, 2. If there's 4 words, it'll be a 4, 1, 3, 4. And then they have another comma. Throughout the entire mortgage of your own property, if you look at it, you will see there are 3, 4, and 5 word combinations set off by commas to break the continuance of evidence. And then with the commas, you'll have spacing or numbers, parentheses, quotation marks, italicizing, or double spaces. And those are going to break the continuance of evidence, so they keep isolating these 4 little phrases to stay within this procedural argument. Now, the Internal Revenue Service says, under penalty of perjury, adverb, verb, adverb, verb. So you got a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 scenario. The instructions from the notary, no contract. We're going to give you a notice today. Which is not ice. We're going to give you a indictment written just like that. What does that say? Does that say indictment? Actually, what it says is adverb, adjective, pronoun. Adverb, adjective, adjective, pronoun. Adverb, adjective, pronoun. Because it's an underlined space, underlined space, underlined space. That's what it really says in syntax. It's called parse. Your vowels are used as adverbs. The consonants, if you look at all the letters in the alphabet, all 26 are nouns because they are the letter that identifies that section of the alphabet. Therefore, they are a fact. But when the fact is used, followed by, put in front of another fact, it's an adjective pronoun. But if it's a letter, and it's a single vowel, A, E, I, O, and U, it becomes an adverb. The adverb modifies the adjective, which modifies the pronoun. 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 3, 4. Henceforth, you go back up here. 4, 1, 3, 4. Or 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. The patterns are always used. They have never changed from the Constitution of 1775 to present day. The Magna Carta, when I syntaxed it, 1215, written in adverb verb. The foundation of the English Empire. In World War II, Nazi Germany sent 250 stormtroopers into London, into the Historical Archive Center to destroy the Magna Carta, thinking if we do that, London would lose all credibility on the planet. They were met with 350 British cracked stormtroopers. 250 people died in the battle. The Nazis were captured. The Magna Carta was protected. And when I syntaxed it, it destroyed it and was sold at Christie's of London for $6.7 million. And London lost all their hold, including their constitution, on all countries worldwide. And therefore became a little island with no resources, except the North Sea's oil drilling right now, and that's about it. So in London, for the last... Well, they were claiming all these assets, just like the Kennecott copper mine in Salt Lake City, Utah. Queen Elizabeth was reported to own that until I syntaxed a mortgage contract and showed it was fraudulently conveyed. How does a adverb verb statement say you own anything from a foreign land? That got kicked out. Deutsche Bank, Germany, been buying up all the stuff all over the United States. Syntax, their mortgage contract. Now they're facing every contract they have in the United States with false and misleading information at a $25 million a pop fine, collapsing the Germany's banking hold on the United States, claims, and all our assets are being seized by the U.S. Department of Justice under the program I put down. Yes?
Going back to oaths, there's 3 specific Indiana State Police troopers that I've been trying to get oaths from, which I haven't gotten anything on paper yet. I asked them in person when they showed up at my house, which they totally ignored. Later, I sent by certified mail the oath request form with the code, the Indiana code that specifically pertains to that, and got nothing. I called Indianapolis, talked to the director or somebody at the state police headquarters, who told me on the phone that they never get anything on paper. They do an oral oath after the academy, and that's all that exists. Send the complaint to the Attorney General, who directed me to, I can't remember the name of the office,
Corporation Counsel are responsible to the police officers to protect them against any lawsuits of civilian.
Okay, they sent me a complaint, an official complaint form, which I fill out for each individual one and send it back to them, which generated a response from the state police again. And this time, that response, this is on paper this time, says when the officers graduate, they get their copy sent with the individual officer, and they do not retain. So now I got 2 different stories and still nothing.
Secretary of State's responsible for holding all oaths of office, whether it be an attorney's office, judge's oath goes to the Secretary of State. If the population exceeds 500,000 people, they keep it in the house, like Indianapolis. Otherwise, every, I think South Bend is also, Gary's over 500,000 people, and so is South Bend in Indiana here. They would keep the judge's oaths in-house. Otherwise, all the smaller counties would be forwarded to Indianapolis Capital with Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, that includes the state police?
Yes, yeah. Anything that's smaller than 500,000 goes there. And your federal courts are set up in half million population sectors within a state. Was the state of Indiana about 8, 9 million people?
6.
6 million? Yeah, so you'd have 12 federal jurisdictions here in the state of Indiana as a result of that.
Thank you.
Like you look at Los Angeles, 40 million people, you got 80 federal courts in Los Angeles County alone. I mean, every couple of blocks you got a federal courthouse. And but Judge Pregeson, Dean Pregeson, is the chief federal judge for Los Angeles, and I had him fired for 2 years along with Douglas, his clerk. And his father, Dean Pregeson Sr., I haven't checked in the last few years, but I think he's still alive. He should be about 92 now. He is the senior master mason for the state of California and the senior federal district court judge for all the judges in California. And I'm the chief federal judge over all the district court judges in California. Because I'm the only judge in California that has a quantumized oath of office. Everybody else has got stuff that looks like this, an adverb verb. And yet the judge says to me, Dave, he says, we know you're a judge, and we know we have your senior position. He says, but we got guns and clubs. What do you got? You got a ballpoint pen. Everybody knows a pen's mightier than a sword. I says, yeah, you know what? I says, you can lie all you want. I says, but 3 plus 3 still equals 6. Now, how many of you have seen the movie Matrix? 1, 2, and 3? Okay. You know what happened in that movie? The movie Matrix is this program. It was written completely about this program. This program's been around since 1988. And Matrix is a story of Neo, who wakes up from the illusion, can see fiction, and goes after the machine. The machine wants to kill the humans because the human condition of thinking is flawed. But what kills both humans and machines? Viruses do. The machine can't fight the virus because the virus can multiply itself exponentially and get inside the workings of the machine. And so, and as well as the virus can infect or multiply itself and then go and kill humans in their dream state, because the illusion of a negativity virus exists as a danger. So Neil, as the fact, 3 plus 3 equals 6, says to the machine, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, Susan Art of War. And the machine says, I have no remedy for Smith. So Neil says, well, I have a solution. If you promise not to hurt the humans in Zion, I will go ahead and take care of Smith. The machine says, all right, we got a contract. If you destroy Smith, then I'll leave you live. I'll call off all my drones, and anybody that wants to go free can go free. Henceforth, the architect. Now that little scene of the architect and Neil's ability to communicate with the architect, saying, we've been here 6 times before. And Neil says, choice. It's all about choice. Remember about who God is and what the devil is, what good and evil is, what choice is? Making decisions in life, understanding the fact in the fiction. So Neil says, well, I understand the fact. When I can see the fact, and I know that in a dream I can do anything, I can be Superman in the dream. Says, okay, I can go out there and play the Superman routine, I can fight Smith, I can fight the machines, and I can win all the time. So finally it comes down to the confrontation where he makes a contract with the machine, and then the next thing, bang, he's right back in the Matrix with Smith. But Smith says, we've been here before. And Neil says, yeah, that's right. He says, if you know, and he says, I brought a few friends with me, which is the infinity of fiction. 3 plus 3 equals 6. How many ways can you do it wrong? 3 plus 3 equals 7. 3 plus 3 equals 8, equals 9, 10. Infinity. So the power of negativity in infinity can be wrong indefinitely, which is what our world's been for 8,500 years, and I'm Neil. And I says, no, king's got new clothes. 3 plus 3 equals 6. And the world says, you must be mad. You must be crazy if you're going to use correctness, a mathematical certification, to identify our illusion and disqualify the entire 8 billion population of this planet and wake them up. You must be crazy to do that. You realize the damage this is going to cause? I'm going, 3 plus 3 still equals 6. You can't live a lie forever. And this planet is humans are relatively young on this planet in their ability to reason things out. So Neil says to Smith, hey, we got work to do here. Let's get to it. So they'd have the big battle scene. And Smith, which is the fiction representing all the things that aren't supposed to be, against Neil, who just represents 3 plus 3 equals 6, which is correct. And bang, 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 bang. And he fights and fights and fights. And finally, Neil says, all right, you win. You defeated me. And Smith says, well, even if you did defeat me, you'd have to fight number 2 just as hard as number 1. And we have an infinity amount of fights for you to do to prove that 3 plus 3 equals 6. So Smith goes, wait a minute. I've seen this before. This is wrong. But I fought so hard to get this. And now we go back to, Smith, the mortgage contract. Sometimes you have to learn through stories, okay? We have a mortgage contract here, which is Smith, and I represent Neil. And the mortgage of fiction says, I'm going to conquer you. So what does Smith do? He absorbs, he touches Neil, and he turns him into Smith. He says, there, I've conquered you. 3 plus 3 equals 7. But 7 minus 3 equals 4, and 4 doesn't equal 3, so therefore, wrong. Boom. Smith number 1 blows up. Smith number 2 jumps in. I got a better answer. 3 plus 3 equals 8. But 8 minus 3 equals 5, and 5 and 3 don't add up. Boom, number 2. And at the speed of thought, the billions of Smiths that existed, infinity of wrong is destroyed. And like Sherlock Holmes says, when you remove all the things that can't be, what is left are the facts. And 3 equals 3. So therefore, Smith is destroyed in a microsecond of thought, and what is left are the facts. And when I syntax this, when you remove all the things that can't be, what is left are the facts. A blank sheet of paper. And who stands with lodial title at 9 points of the law of possession with no contract written in the correct parse syntax grammar to say you don't own your property? You get clear title. 900 homes in Chicago were then, on March of last year in 2011, June 2011, 900 homeowners were awarded $7.5 million each at an $8.5 million check written by Bank of America, given back their homes, and all expenses for moving in and out for 3 months were paid for by the Bank of America. It cost them $8.5 billion. And that's for only 900 houses. That was all over CNN, yes.
Brings me to a question that's been burning in my mind. Do you write I don't know what I want to call it, a document to secure the ownership of that home then, if everything else was fiction?
I have quantum mortgages, yes. And when I wrote I had my own real estate company for 26 years. All the homes that I bought and sold, I bought them in fiction, but I sold them in quantum. The people that bought them in quantum, they looked at the contracts and this gives me a headache to read it. I got to hire a lawyer. So they went to a lawyer. The lawyer took one look at it and said, if you don't want to buy this home, I'll buy it. This is a real contract. This actually gives me lodial title to this property. And he says, I know the court can't take this away from me. I know that a bank won't touch this. I can pay for this property and have lodial title to this land. And they can never move it off of me.
So what does that mean in terms of being taxed on the property?
Taxes still pay for the policemen, the firemen. It's called bailment, B-A-I-L-M-E-N-T. It's a bailment manager. You will be the trustee of your property. No one owns property in the United States. You are only trustees. In other words, the guardian of the land. The people, right now, you're the last person standing on the property. So the new information that you're going to get will identify you to be a factual trustee, but show me a second trustee who has a better contract that is timely than yours to be who you are at this point in time and now time. I write quantum trusts. I write the only quantum trusts in the United States. They have never been broken. They've been taken into federal court and challenged. The federal court throws them out, saying you can't bring those documents here. We're a fiction. These are factual documents. You don't have copyright infringement capabilities of entering into these trusts. The trusts are factual holding trusts. You can't do banking with a quantum trust. You can have a second trust if you want, or do something with an ordinary checking account, but a trust is no more than a holding position of a quantum mortgage, a quantum contract on your land to describe it. A quantum trust is a trust that identifies you to be a trustee, and you are instructed to do specific duties within the confinements of that trust as far as management goes. But you can never enter a world of fiction with a quantum trust, because fact and fiction can never meet. People who want to buy trusts from me, I will not sell them a trust if they don't know quantum language, for one thing, And if they think they're going to use it for something that's not legal, I'm not also going to give you a trust for that. You don't have any amount of money you can give me. I'm financially independent. I make all the money I need. I'm financially set for life. I can't be bought, sold, traded, or anything else. I've had lawyers walk up to me with a suitcase with $2 million and say, here, go on vacation. Stop bothering us. I'm going like, I day trade that. I says, I've lost that in a day. That don't mean anything to me. I don't have adrenaline, so I don't get emotional. Yeah.
So what I hear you saying is that I can't use this quantum trust to interact with the banking and the, et cetera.
No.
Can I hold other objects other than my real estate property?
Let's say if you have any object that you wish that is paid for in cash that has no adhesive contract in fiction due to somebody else, you can create an identity of that contract and put it into the trust, like personal belongings in a household, for instance. You can put an automobile in there, a tractor, farm equipment. By the way, all of your automobiles titles are owned by the United States government. You are only trustees to operate the vehicles under public safety law. Public safety laws supersede all laws on planet Earth. You get the smallpox, you will be put into a plastic bubble, and there ain't no contract, and nobody's going to come to your rescue that's going to take you out of the bubble until you're healed or correct. You have a contagious disease of anything that threatens public safety, you'll be put into a plastic bubble or incinerated accordingly. If you think a 747 come here with 400 people on board and's got a contagious disease, they're not going to hesitate to vaporize that plane in midair. It's never going to land in the country to expose it, because once it lands, it would get out of control, so they would vaporize it. Public safety has #1 billing. 1.5 million people die every day of starvation. The world knows it. Can't do a thing about it at this point in time. Now, if they implement a Nikola Tesla coils, a 6-foot coil produces 200,000 watts of electricity, can be placed on top of every wood telephone pole in America, giving us about 100 times more electricity than this country is capable of using. 6-foot coil can be transported by semi, set up on top of 40-foot telephone poles, and hooked up with very little cost, has no moving parts, runs on a superconductor, which is 200 times more efficient than a copper wire, generates no heat, produces all the electricity we need. The surplus would be 1 cent per kilowatt. All surplus would be used for purification of water as well as purification of air. 24-hour-a-day sunlight. Globally, you guys could grow crops 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year-round, with 24-hour-a-day of plant light above your fields. The electricity can be used to create nitrogen, which would be your natural fertilizer through electrical circuitry, and stimulate your crop growth. Instead of waiting 9 months to harvest a corn crop, you could do it in 4 weeks.